Hey everybody, hope everybody's well. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Dream Theater's new album, A View from the Top of the World. I've got to get a few things off my chest before we get into the album. During the last 10 years, the band's output, I would say, has been consistent, but at the same time, it's a little bit uneven as well. And there is also a lot of people out there, fans, who say they haven't done anything worthwhile since Mike Portnoy left. I need those people to stop saying that. It's been how many years now? He's left the band. He's not coming back. Mike Mangini, who filled his shoes, I would say is a very good drummer, very capable of filling in for Mike Portnoy, and I wish people would get over it. And another thing I have to say is James LaBrie. I wish people would quit talking shit about his voice. Sure, he doesn't sound like he did 20 years ago, but who would? But he's also an integral part of this group, and I think if they had replaced him, it wouldn't be the same Dream Theater. So I just need those comments that I'm reading already about this album to stop, because it's not fair. Anyways, enough about that and griping and bitching, whatever, but I just, I feel I have to get off my chest, because I think both those points, we need to just quit it. It's getting annoying. Anyways, if you ask me, dramatic turn of events and the distance over time were actually very good examples of the group showing a different side of their melody and emotions compared to previous albums. But at the same time, the self-titled Dream Theater album and Astonishing were very, very mediocre in my opinion. All right, let's break down the album a little bit. Right off the bat, I'm going to say we are looking at a grower of an album. I've listened to this album probably a good 8 times, and it's still not immediately clicking with me. It's a very dense album. You know, I remember after the first time I listened to the album, I kind of thought, is that all? But then, you know, as the more I listened to it, things kept changing and secrets were revealed. You know, hidden sections that I didn't hear before just kind of reaffirmed to me that Dream Theater does nothing lightly, and that I've said it in the past, that an album that makes you work for its praise is often a great album. At least that's how I would say it. I mean, I think back to, you know, groups like Van de Graaff Generator, and I'm not comparing them by any means, but a lot of those albums like God Bluff, Pawn Hearts, they're very hard albums to get into, but once you do get into them and they reveal their beauty, it's very rewarding. This album is decidedly heavy and very complex as well. And there is no immediate ballads on the albums. There's, you know, there's some sections of songs that have calmer sections spread over some tracks, but the songs are extensive with a very intricate structures. And of all the 7 tracks on the album totals 70 minutes. And of course, we have the gigantic epic Also Returns. That, of course, is the title track. Prior to the album's release, we were introduced to 2 songs from the album in form of singles. The first being The Alien and the second being Invincible Monster. I didn't listen to them. I listened to them once each when they came out, but I didn't want to spoil the album, because I sometimes find that you hear something out of context of the album and it doesn't sound the same as you listen to it in the context of the album. I think people will understand what I'm saying. So I don't usually give singles too much of a chance. I mean, I listen to them once or twice just to see how they sound, and like, well, I know what to expect, or maybe I don't know what to expect. But that's kind of why I don't listen to singles. And this song, The Alien, is definitely a highlight of the great work of Mike Mangini, and it is one of the fastest, heaviest on the album. As far as Invisible Monster, I can really take or leave it. I don't really think there's anything special about that particular song. The video's kind of neat, yeah, but it felt really generic, and it was just basically Dream Theater by the numbers. That could have maybe fit on Systematic Chaos, perhaps. But I mean, that's not that a bad thing, but that's just my opinion on the first two singles. And as I listen to the album more, I find that it is revealing a lot more great moments that are scattered throughout the album. Awaken the Master, for example, features a groovy instrumental section with epic solo duets between John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess. It really took me back to the heavier songs of maybe a Systematic Chaos would have, or Black Clouds and Silver Linings, or maybe even back to 6 Degrees. So there's something on this album for just about everybody that appreciates their past discography. Another highlight to me is a song called Sleeping Giant. This is a 10-minute song, of course, and it does some really interesting stuff in the second half of the song. I'm not going to really allude into too much of that. I'll wait for you guys to hear for yourself. Don't want to spoil anything, but it's a pretty magnificent, there we go, song. And another personal favorite of mine is one of the heaviest and most outstanding moments on the album is called Awaken the Master. And this is a song that John Petrucci finally makes his use of the so-called 8-string guitar. In it, we have pure prog metal, extensive developments, unexpected rhythm changes, memorable riff collections, and solo senses all over the place. Without going into the top 10 of what your Dream Theater song, I bet you, given time, this will definitely appear on that list. Now, obviously, the piece de resistance, or the draw anyways to this album, is the title track, A View from the Top of the World. It is returned to the 20-minute epic that we haven't had since 2013's Illumination Theory. And both songs really have a similar structure and a sound, but this one fails in a little bit of comparison that it does not meet up to Octavarium or even A Change of Season. But it is probably the most lucid and, to me, the best song on the album. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the level of instrumental performance and production, the album outshines itself. The musicians have the chemistry intact and generate some of the most intricate moments of their careers. Mike Mangini in particular is totally liberated on this album, and he is the unsung hero on it. Speaking of Mike Mangini, this is the best he's sounded on a Dream Theater album. It was very close with A Distance to Here, but this one, they've nailed it, and I think that has to do with Andy Sneap's production. One fault I will find with production is you still don't hear John Mayung's bass, but I'm almost starting to wonder if that's just a Dream Theater style kind of a thing rather than they just don't want to hear him kind of a thing. I really don't know, but I wish we would. So I think most fans will enjoy this album. I know there's going to be the hardcore fans that are going to diss it right off the bat, but you know what? We all hear music differently, so we have to keep that in mind. I did enjoy this album as much as I've enjoyed every other Dream Theater album, and only time will tell where I place it in the discography of best to worst kind of a thing, but it's a good effort, and I think people will enjoy it. Anyways, take care, guys. We'll talk with you soon. Good night. And as a final rating, I'm going to give this album 87%. Good night, guys. Take care.